Greetings, members one and all of the Salivation Nation. $2,423 silver. The debt clock speeds up. Let's explore. That's right. Last time we reported on the dollar to silver ratio, which I'll explain in a moment here, it was below just under $2,000, but it is moving up at a faster pace now. And why is that? Well, some of these relief packages, bailouts, whatever you want to call them, are starting to catch up. And that is the amount of M2 money supply compared to the yearly world production of silver measured in ounces. That is what that number means. It does not mean that silver should be $2,423 per ounce, or it does not mean that it's going to get there anytime soon. All this is a measure of the money supply, the year-over-year increase in the M2 money supply divided by the world production of silver. But it tells us something very important. It tells us that the number of those dollar notes printed or digitized is going to have an effect, because when you think about that number increasing compared to the dollar to silver ratio, that means that silver is much more rare compared to dollars than ever before in the history of the United States. And I think that should tell us something. I think that should tell us that holding silver is a way to preserve and protect your wealth, because of what the Federal Reserve targets. Not only do they target a 2% inflation rate annually based off of various different measures among the regions of the 12 central banks, the CPI, Consumer Price Index, is measured for those areas year on year, but also and by other measures of these dollars that are printed. Sooner or later that's going to come back to bite us. And why is that? Well, because of this number here, the U.S. national debt, pushing very close to $24.5 trillion right now. It's an astounding number, and we can go back and we can look through the annals of history, but I think it's safe to say that under President Trump, we will probably double our national debt from the time he took office. And just as Obama had doubled the national debt by the time he left office, and just as Bush had doubled the national debt by the time he left office. So, it seems to be a pattern. However, admittedly, what's been going on recently with the COVID-19, the Mexican beer flu, we call it, or have called it in the past, the coronavirus, this is certainly an unprecedented situation where there's no easy solution in order to try to stop or slow the spread of this thing. And so state governments have imposed shutdowns of businesses, beginning with early states like Pennsylvania and others. But now it's pretty much all 50 states have some sort of orders, shutdown orders in place. So these businesses have to be propped up during this time. And that's what largely this is. And also people that are unemployed have to be propped up. And, we see here on this particular usdebtclock.org, there's a wealth of information here on this site, including the unemployment numbers, the official unemployed versus the actual unemployed, 27,897 or 27,897,925 unemployed. And then the actual numbers, there's a U6 rating. There's actually more unemployed than what the official numbers tell you. That's U3. And but it's really nobody's fault. This is a virus. At least it's nobody's fault in many countries around the world, except for one country, and that's China. But nonetheless, this number is going to continue to rise, and we're going to track it as such in due course. You could almost put out almost daily videos as much as this has been updating But Congress is at the precipice of introducing another fourth round of stimulus, $500 billion package for the Paycheck Protection Program, among other stimulus measures to help state governments, hospitals, first responders and workers, and testing and equipment and the like. So that package, because they run out of money. And you know what? They can keep doing this, we're just going to pull ourselves deeper into debt. There's talk about reopening some parts of the states, even immediately, but it's going to be too little, too late, I think, at this point. By the time, because those areas that are going to be opened up probably have the least economic input, but it's better than nothing. And I look forward to the day where we can open up the country back up again in a whole. It is very frustrating for many people out there, especially those who are hurting, those who are unemployed, and those who have actually contracted the virus, one form or another. But keep in mind that the economy was doing very well before all of this had occurred, and there's some hope that it will return to that level at some point in time. There has been time there was that of a talk of a V-curve recovery. I think most people think that's unrealistic at this point. But no matter what, even if there is a V-shaped recovery, the damage has been done and will continue to be done with the U.S. national debt and deficit spending is through the roof. And how long will it take for that to bite us? No one really knows. And no one can really forecast how long that can go, because I guarantee you, 10 years ago, if we would have said that our debt would be this high, many of us probably thought we'd be finished with a $25 trillion debt looming on our head. But nonetheless, this is where it is. And you look at where gold is now. Gold is $20,083 per ounce. Dollar to gold ratio, which uses a lot of the same measures. Essentially, the year-over-year increase of the U.S. M2 money supply divided by the yearly world production of gold in ounces. And it's just another example of what's going on with the metals. Other numbers to look at are the paper to silver ratio and the paper to gold ratio. We have 174.14 paper contracts for 1 ounce of silver. And, this is something that you kind of look at and see what's going on there. It's divided by the world silver exchanges, divided by the actual world production in silver. And this is the silver source from the silver exchanges. And these numbers provide us probably the most evidence for manipulation out there with the paper to gold and silver ratios out there. But nonetheless, the focus here is that dollar to silver ratio. And I think that is a number that I think that you dilute your dollars, they're going to be worth less in due course. And that's just it. Silver, they can only produce so much of it each year. And a lot of it is being discarded. Doesn't mean it disappears. Doesn't mean it can't be recycled or it can't be repositioned or repurposed in different efforts. That's happening all the time and will continue to happen, especially if the price goes up. But nonetheless, I believe that should give silver stackers and those who hold gold and purchase gold some confidence that we're doing the right thing, because we are accumulating assets that you just can't print or you just can't digitize. And that is the message and the theme of what this is about when you see these numbers climb up. Let's take a forecast look into what it's going to look like in 2014, 2024. Let's go back over here and see it's going to double. The debt by 2024, by the time President Trump leaves office, $40 trillion in debt. Crazy to think about. What is that dollar to silver ratio? Double that almost. What it is now, $4,217 per ounce. These numbers may seem far-fetched, but you know what? It wasn't that long ago when we were seeing these numbers for the forecast way down the road, and we're already at them. We've already met these numbers, and the previous forecast numbers are very close to it. So the dollar to gold ratio is $34,957 per ounce. So interesting to see where we're heading, and I think it's not unreasonable to see these kind of numbers out there. Post your thoughts below. The debt clock speeds up, and as time is ticking, it's coming closer and closer. When will it get to midnight or 2 minutes of midnight? Or, are we going to come to a point of no return? Well, we're already past that, but are we going to get to a point of system collapse, dollar collapse? Who knows? It's anybody's guess. We could go to 50 trillion. Who knows? Because all the nations around the world are kind of doing the same thing we are right now. And so if everybody's doing the same thing, is anybody penalized for it? I don't know. Pretty crazy to think about. Post your thoughts below. They can't print silver. They can't print gold. We hold both to be self-evident. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.